Hello and a warm welcome back to the WenDirkCast with me, Calvinator, and Jimbo. As always, we'll be discussing the latest MFL updates, transfers, developments, controversies, everything that has been discussed in the past week in MFL we'll be talking about. One important note, as always, this is not financial advice. Do your own scouting or hire a director of Metaverse football. Jimbo, what will be doing this week?
Well, we have got a very special guest on today's episode in our little Manager Spotlight mini-series. We are thrilled to welcome this person into our studios today. They are one of the most recognisable names in the FIFA world, or EAFC as it's now called, with a massive following on YouTube and Twitch, with over 2.5 million subs on YouTube alone. And he also plays So Rare, but Season 3 is his first season MFL, so we thought we'd get him under the spotlight in our Manager Spotlight and take a dive into his MFL career to date, along with a few other insights with the beer top 3, etc. So without further ado, a warm welcome to NepentheZ. How are you doing?
I'm very good. Thank you very much for having me. And I'm genuinely glad to be here because it's a game I've become really attached to over the last week or 10 days, and there's not enough content out there. Mm-hmm. And so I'm here. I want to pick your guys' brains. You know what I mean? I need to, when I get connected to something, I need to know every nuance, every in and out. And that's really hard to come by for MFL. So really happy to be here.
You definitely come to the right place. And obviously earlier on in the week, you were on the MFL Ramble podcast, which for our listeners, if you've already not checked that out, you can go listen to Nep on there. So you've already, in the space of 1 week, been on both of the MFL podcasts, so you're definitely doing your bit of getting involved with the content. Yeah, I think all podcasts. Yeah,
you've been on all podcasts already of MFL.
Yeah, you've done the trip.
Yeah. That's the media landscape right now. But yeah, some guys making videos, some podcasts, and also some streams on Twitch. So Jimbo, you did a stream last Wednesday.
It was on Wednesday, yeah.
How was
First match day. It was really good actually. I think it was about 3 hours or so.
I think I caught your stream where you was opening packs
a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, that was in the first last week Wednesday.
A lot of viewers. I was like, God damn, this is all right, but it's really hard. It is really hard to come by MFL content on YouTube because when you type in MFL, it gives you NFL.
Yeah,
and it's it took me the reason why I asked you to link your podcast in the Discord the other day was because I just could not find it on YouTube. It's just impossible.
Yeah. Or if you try and Google MFL, it comes up with modern foreign languages.
Oh,
and my Google's only now adjusted the algorithm to actually translate that to Metaverse Football League rather than modern foreign languages, or saying, are you sure you've spelled NFL right? And I'm like, no, I've actually spelled what I want to. But yeah, we
try to sometimes include that hashtag, like hashtag Metaverse Football League on YouTube. Okay. And then it says less than 100 hashtags, right? It says how many times you use. So yeah, it's really early days of making content, but yeah, we're contributing to that.
The pioneers.
The pioneers.
Yeah.
Exactly. But with the streams, a lot of what we do credit towards the MFL team because for those pack drop streams especially, they embed us within the website as well. So if we get obviously the traffic come from that. So yeah, we've got some, have a couple hundred viewers. I think at some point we've had 300-400, maybe 1,500 unique viewers across the couple of hours, which is really, really great. So you do have the option to mute us within the app as well, just in case you don't want to hear us talking. But sometimes it's just quite nice to have in the background as well. We have some people who even during the streams they'll be driving and listening because they may pop, have one of their games on, the one on Wednesday was one of the watch alongs. So it's a really great game to stream, I think, because you can all get involved. You can link when your matches are, you can watch them, and everyone just commentates and watches all the games go by. So for that point of view, it's really, really great, and we love doing it, to be fair. So obviously with yourself with content, when you find something you love and really enjoy, and you could do content with it, and other people enjoy what you're doing, then it just makes life so much better and it's so enjoyable.
Speaking of watching games, I have got my games kicking off now, as I mentioned. I'm playing one of the worst teams in the league, and I've started off really well. I know we'll probably get into this, but I have to preface it. I've won my first 4 games, and 3 of the teams that I've beaten are ranked above me.
Oh, nice.
On that website that ranks them. So I'm I kind of rested a few players here today because I'm playing a really bad team, and I don't know if they have error led to goal as a thing for goalkeeper at the moment, but my keeper's committed a howler. And I'm 1-0 down at half-time to one of the worst teams in the league, so Lord. It's not good. Yeah.
It's one of those. You think you're all cushy, and then you make some changes thinking you can get the result over the line, and then, keeper has a stinker.
Well, that's a nice transition because we usually start with our moment of the week or how we're doing, how did we do in the past week. So obviously you had a great start then with winning your first games. What about Jimbo? How did you do the first
I won my first
matches?
game with the Wyverns in bronze, and I've lost my resulting on my two after that. I am predicted bottom of my league, and I'm not happy with that at all. And I sort of knew that was going to happen, but I've got quite a lot of misfits in my team. So when you saw Bastista's great projection charts, they don't incorporate players who are maybe better overall or better in their secondary or tertiary position. So I have a couple of left or right mids who are 72 rated, but put them in striker and they're 78. So it doesn't incorporate that. So it's a little bit that my opponent might go, oh, we'll rotate against Jimbo's side because they're, on face value, they're a bit naff. But actually, well, for two of those three sides, they're right. And they did beat me. But actually, it's not my moment of the week. My moment of the week is, you may have seen Calvin on Twitter yesterday, at the Norwich game, I finally ticked off one of the resolutions for this year was actually meeting someone else who plays MFL. And I've known So Rare Canary for about 2 years now. And we actually figured out he sits about 70 seats to my right in the same part of Carrow Road. So it's an actual travesty that we've not met up earlier. We talk daily, but we just never go, oh, do you fancy like a pint afterwards? Then Hoodwink's just been belittling us in Discord, going, how have you not, you probably walk past each other every day, and he knows what I look like, but I don't know what he looks like because he watches all the streams. So I was like, I need to find it. Can you send me a picture of yourself, lads? So if I do see you in the stadium, then I know it's you, sort of thing. But we went and had a chat yesterday after the game, after we drew to little old Derby County, 1-0. That was great to have a couple of pints and actually talk about MFL. We talked about So Rare as well and other things. So that was my moment of the week. That was a great one.
Awesome. So yeah, one resolution checked.
Ticked.
So hopefully this will be the start of many more. I think you replied to Matt, like when Paris, right? When is the
we need
the
a bigger
meetup in
MFL
Paris?
meet.
Or there's also loads of Dutch users coming in. So maybe when I'm in the Netherlands in the summer, like a Dutch meetup or. A lot of possibilities.
There's lots of us in England, Nep as
and
well.
England,
now we've got all the So Rare guys. This should be definitely something when, as we grow bigger, we need to. London seems like the obvious place because it's quite central, but maybe the guys in Scotland will probably disagree with us on that front. But we definitely have to make it happen, even if it's a smaller groupings, but just make it more frequent. Let it happen first. Make it happen first.
Yeah. So Nep, winning the first matches, was it your moment, or was it another transfer or progression or something that made your week?
Before we get to that, my centre-back's just scored an own goal. So I'm now 2-0 down. My opponent has got 5 yellow cards in all of his midfielders and attackers are all booked. So he's leading from the front. But it was all my own doing, really. I have 2 clubs. They're both in ice. I have one club that I want to, is almost like a testing ground. I've set it up. I bought 25 $1 players. And I just want to see, I'm fascinated by the fact that any one of them could potentially have 99 potential. And I'm like, how like manageable is it to just constantly run a bottom of the pile club to the point where you only need like one player here or there to like start going way above their station before you can either move them up to another club that you've got, like agent them out, contract them out and get some MFL off the back of that, or just sell them for like a hefty profit. So that's my like testing club. I was predicted bottom and I've got the worst team by a considerable margin in the league, but I got 3 points last night, so I was really happy.
Big up.
I've already outperformed my expectations, and we're only 3 games in, which is nice. But on my other team, I did it myself. I did it a little bit wrong because I didn't really know what I was doing when I was buying the players, and I've learned as I've gone, and now the transfer window is shut, I can't really like rectify those errors. But I did a lot of research on like what I wanted for specific positions, like how I wanted players to play, and I think you can find quite a lot of bargains of like, I want a nice holding midfielder that's nice and tall, good physical, good defending. I don't really care about their attacking stats, their dribbling stats. And I found that there was a couple of them that were really nice like that. And like you said about like having a secondary or tertiary position that's high rated, I got a left mid, right mid that's like 51 rated, but he's a 60 rated striker. And he's got like 72 shooting, I believe. So he's banging in goals. I rested him today and I've lost 2-0 now. So a bit of a nightmare. But lesson learned there. I got humbled by this guy's team as well. He battered me. But it's been all my own doing. And I I like the tinkering. I don't like the fact that you can't do it in game yet. Like I would have made some changes this game if you could, but everyone's on the same boat, aren't they? So it's not too bad. But yeah, I built a nice squad until today when I was kind of like trying to find the players that I wanted to rest and rotate, and I noticed I literally have one left back for the whole season. So
until the mid-season transfer window, then you can bring someone in, but it is paid. Some people, the worst one is like your goalkeeper. Well, I guess goalkeeper is actually not so bad because his fatigue doesn't go down as quickly as other positions. But when you only realise you've got one player, one position, you go, I've either got to hammer his fatigue for a good couple of 10 days until mid-season transfer window, or I have to put someone out of position who may end up being like 34 rated and left back, and you go, well, which one would I rather have? And it's that sort of dilemma. But a fairly positive start to your season 3, then you'd say.
Yeah, I'm actually like, and this is what I'm saying about like this, and when I do start making content, why I think my FIFA viewers and why I think more so managers will get involved. I'm actually in pain here right now that I've lost this game. Like I want to go backwards and not rotate these players. Like they weren't even that unfit. They were in like 96 percentiles, 94 percentiles and stuff. Like they were good enough to carry on. Yeah. And I just thought, no, I've got a weak opponent here. Let me do the right thing. But I'm looking at my second match now with my team full of absolute crappers, and I'm 2-1 up leading into half time. So I don't know what's going on.
Make it make sense.
Well, you always have upsets, Maybe you were at the receiving end, and now you're at the other end of the upset. So
yeah,
it's always a big thing in the community.
I see in the Discord actually where people are just raging about their XG and how they've lost the game.
Half the community rages, half the community is like loving it, and that's just how when there's no draws, and obviously when there's draws it's a bit different, share the spoils, but be like real life, when Norwich win, all of our fans are going crazy. When we lose, they're all toxic on Twitter, as is 99% of football fans when it comes to supporting their clubs and socials. They're loving it when they're winning and they're hating it when they're losing. And the emotions definitely carry over into watching your players in MFL, 100%.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
What about you, Calvo?
Well, my moment, it's a bit related to like buying a lot of cheap guys and putting them on an ice club and then seeing like which one has the most progression. But I did another strategy where I kind of splashed on 2 guys. Like one I talked to you before, like Matthew Singh, who was an 82 striker. I spent like 200 and around 250 on him because he already went up +4. So I thought if I buy him, he might go up. Now he went up another +4. And now he's an 86 legendary striker. So that really paid off. Then for this season, I copied it and I bought this 84 centre back for like 260. And I thought he must make another +1. And then as a Lego, he's again, worth more. So, and he did. Now he became like today, he broke the final tier jail, which is
tier jail.
He escaped from it, which is great. So I think I might do this more, like more quality scouting, which guys went already up by like +4, +5, +3. And is that priced in or not? If it's not priced in, just buy him and probably you'll make 1-2 extra. And especially with the higher rares, that value goes up much quicker, right? Than the lower guys are +2.
Is there a significant price difference between a rare and a legendary, even if it's just the 84 to the 85?
Yeah. For some, I think, I don't know the data, but for some reason there is. Yeah, there is like, especially in the past, there was like a big gap.
Yeah, it used to be a big difference.
I think now it gets a bit less, but it's definitely still, that purple card, that legendary, also because it's harder to progress to that tier. 84, 85 is hard to break.
Oh,
so when they break it, when they get out of that, that's worth something, plus the purple, plus the highest tier card. So I think it is a bit of extra.
That luxurious purple colour. And we've not had legendary packs for a long while, but obviously
true.
But people buy a legendary pack, they're very reluctant to sell a legendary player for less than pack value because no one wants to put their hands up and go, I lost value sort of thing. So for a while, there was quite a big discrepancy between those, or gap between those two values, but it has come down over time. People understanding that actually a younger 84, 83 rated player might actually better, maybe progression wise, they're willing to take that risk. Everyone's perception of risk is different, but it's definitely come down now. But I like that, Calvin, from you. Some good scouting.
Yeah, solid.
Yeah, nice. I'm encouraged now to splash a bit more on those like progression splashes. That's how I call it.
They got you hooked.
Yeah, the progression splash, the scouting.
I'm doing the same thing, but from like 49s to 50s. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit. I
give it a couple of weeks.
More, like a quantity quality. You can also just buy like 500 guys for $1 or one guy $500 and then see what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Some time for the dev updates quickly. So of course, player suspension is now live this season, and there was been thorough testing of the system, some final fixes and improvements. One little update is that you will receive the inbox message about the player suspension after the match, not before.
Not before.
That you go to watch a game and you see like plus like an inbox and you're like, oh no, there's some red cards coming. Which is
that
great.
even before it's kicked off like officially, or if you haven't watched the replay?
I think no, it was if before the game, or just as the game kicked off, you'd get an inbox saying he's been suspended.
Yeah,
And even if predetermined, then
the results
like
when the game like kicks off is, if that makes sense.
So as it kicks off, it's already done, and then it generates
and
the
you
highlights.
you're watching that as it happens.
Yeah.
You can watch the highlights for 8 minutes. You can watch the full 2D, which we've done a couple streams of, which takes about 40 minutes to watch the full thing in 2D, which is quite fun. We've done it for like cup finals, or if we've played each other, in a cup once, didn't we, Calvin? The WenDirk record it.
Because it's on my mind. Sorry to interject.
Yeah.
If I'm in the same cup competition with two of my teams, can I play myself?
In the knockout stages you could, in the drawing of the group stages that won't, I think, to prevent that from happening, they'll try and branch them out, but there could be a situation where you've got two teams in the same cup and then they play each other, especially for those who have like 40 clubs, like trust the process or make things. There's a chance they're going to meet each other at some point. But that can happen. But
I'm actually in one of my cup groups. I've got a trust the process in there. So
I think everyone does. Everyone makes some trust the process. Even in
like
diamonds.
GTP.
Even in diamonds. We'll talk about that in a second.
Sorry, carry on.
So the engine. So there's been a fix to the current one. There was like a rare bug that the goalie was taking the ball during a penalty, and then the match got stuck. So that has been fixed. About the upcoming version of the engine, Quint started to work on improving the player positions to better fill some defensive gaps. There's been some feedback about that, and also if a player receives a red card, like what happens then to all the positioning. And the thing we just also talked about, Neb, that you're missing, that predefined tactical changes, some presets. There have been some more research and exploration of that happening by the dev team. So they're definitely working on that. Player progression, training sessions now provide the same amount of experience throughout the season. They had been kind of front-loaded, I think. Some friendly settings.
So could you explain that to me, sorry?
It's a bit hard to explain, but they gain a certain amount of XP, but in one of the first season, right, Jimbo, they first gave like a lot of XP that is like expected, and then they kind of build it. How would you explain this?
There's 29 training sessions across the season, I think. So each day your player will earn, say, like 1/29th, and essentially there was a point, I think, season 1 where the earlier training sessions provided more XP than the latter ones. So people at the end were like, hang on, my players aren't progressing as much. And it was because it was all more front loaded. And then this season, they've basically balanced it. So every single one of those 29 sessions provides you with the minimum, before any penalties or things like that are implemented, the same amount.
Curious when I spoke to Matt about being able to like reverse engineer whether or not a player has got high potential based on like their training. I know they reach like 8% in like quite a short amount of time, but it's not linear, so it could go loads early or loads late.
Yeah.
If they're getting 1/29th of training, could you not, at least for that season, kind of like project what kind of player they're going to be on that season if it's particularly split like that?
Because training's only like 50% of a player's XP. You've got training and matches. You've got you're only looking at part of the story there. I think you also don't know what the value of XP is. Like, how much does it take for them to how much do they need to acquire to increase their stats? But also, you can control the training XP to an extent because you can control who he's training with in terms of players you've signed. the variable you can't control is what your opponent's lineup is going to be, and could they have a really poor squad that just gives you, because of the difference and your team is inherently stronger, you then get a penalty for it. So, but just on like a base level, they've equaled out the training XP between all those 29 sessions. I think it's 29 sessions.
And in the camps, how does it impact that? Is it just training in the camps?
You mean the development center?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just training, but that depends how long you stick them in there, like how much XP they get. 6.
Yeah.
But it's also flat, I think.
I guess
also
that one's a
flat,
bit more unknown, isn't it?
Is it almost not worth it then if they just have 29 training sessions in the development center but 120%? Would it not be better to have another club where you just play them?
But that's then. Yeah, it can also be 100%. Yeah, then if they're starters. So it depends a bit. Do you have the space? Yeah, and then you save money. Instead of locking them 4 seasons, 120, you can just play them at your club 4 seasons, 100% as starter. So, yeah,
or even a bit like myself, if I've got some really low rated commons that I've not got enough MFL to put them in development center, or B, I don't want them to, but I still want them to get just like training XP. I'll just chuck them in one of my squads, just chuck them in there so they at least earn something. Something is better than nothing, and I think if you have a large agency or a small agency, you should at least be getting everyone out on a contract just so you're not missing out on progression, because that's the worst thing you can do. There's all the penalties for training, for playing matches. The biggest hindrance if you don't have them on a contract in the first place. That's the biggest penalty you can do to yourself.
And there was also another thing, like Nep, I heard you talking about this on the Ramble pod, about this unique progression path that you discussed this with Matt. So you just said you can in a season project the kind of how much they go up, but the level of XP, the amount of XP they need to have another +1 depends on each level. So maybe he first needs 2 training sessions and goes up 1 shooting, but then there's like a bigger level to make those unique progression paths. So not everyone needs the same XP to go up +1, let's say.
Yeah, so I haven't read the white paper yet. So is each player, do they have individual XP like barriers for each individual stat?
Yeah,
they're all
fascinating.
They're all unique. So 3
unique.
players can end up with the same overall, but their individual stat increase will be completely different.
Yeah.
You know, one could have a physical of like +20, but the other one can have a physical of like +4, but the other lad will then have +20 shooting, one will have +10. It is completely not random, but it's completely unique in that sense, which is what it's great. But because we're only 3 seasons in, I wouldn't even say 3 seasons because we've not finished this one, we're all in the same boat trying to figure out, even just like age against progression. We know that a younger a player is, there's in the white paper it says significantly. You've got to get to see what that actually means. Difference between their overall and their potential compared to say someone who's 25, 26. But until we maybe go through a 16-year-old's full career, you're not going to be able to understand what that's like. So more data we can try and acquire, the better we can get an understanding.
I appreciate I'm derailing as well here from...
I don't know. It's good conversation.
It's good.
When a player gets minted, because I had a few minted, I opened some of those packs. I got lucky and got one of each of them, and I got one player that was like 25 years old. Is that effectively day one of his career, or is it like retroactively appreciated the fact that he would have already had training? And
no, that's day one of his career.
So he gets mint age boost.
So that's why
packs,
if you maybe look at a player on the marketplace and you notice that his ID is like 72,000, so you know he's one of the latest mints, and you see he's not gone up by 1 progression point. We know that every player goes up by at least a minimum of 1. You can at least look at that card and go, he will go up by at least 1. Whereas, if they are, there's no retrospective, they've not backlogged or anything like that.
So
when they're minted,
that's
the overall.
So, like in theory, if somebody's minted at like 25 years old, ranked 41, they could, in theory, still be like a 90 rated player and get there.
In theory, yeah. There's
okay.
Probability is there. It's very bloody slim,
but
course, it's there, and that's what's so fun. I think it's Big Wilbert and Trust. Trust has a player who might be the first one going from common to legendary. He's now sat at an 84 rated, and he's going. That's just nuts. You look at the poster and he's getting +1 every day, and the progression path looks so good. It's like gets to the 64, 74, stalls, and then just jumps and stalls and jumps, and you go, oh, I really want that player. Why is that not? Why am I like poking them with a stick? Like, do something. Everyone else is doing something, but not my players.
Yeah, a good argument for this quantity strategy to just buy tons of $1 players and then maybe you have one of those. So you have like a bigger shot at the gem.
But only new mints. You don't want the old guys because you already know, I suppose, don't you? That or you don't know, but at least you can have
you have more
an
data.
educated guess that they're going to be crap.
It could be a super like late bloomer with like a crazy sprint at the end of his career, but the chances are lower, for sure. Then that is not like such a high guy. But okay. Quickly finish up.
Sorry.
No worries.
Good chat.
It's good. Yeah, so I think I mentioned last thing was it was a player progression, of course, that it's now more like totally evenly distributed, the XP. And then about friendly settings, the team has fully implemented a new setting that will allow you to define who can play friendly matches against your club. It will be released early next week. So I know, some people don't like that others keep testing against them, so maybe you can now start changing that.
Yeah.
And finally, marketplace offer. So this is a big one. So there's been a lot of, with Evaluate gone and also the dominance of Floaty. It's really good to do more things in-app. So the team keeps working on the possibility to make offers directly within the MFL marketplace. That would be a really great feature that you can receive and accept offers in the app and not in Floaty. So those were dev updates. Final reaction to those, Jimbo?
I'm going to go off tangent slightly. It's still a dev updates, but not on what we had from Yax. Was that I know I saw you saw it, Calvert, Alexis with MFL assistant, which I guess is the closest thing to Sorare data that we have at the moment, which he makes. Mm-hmm. He did like a sort of alpha version of his gallery valuation, not gallery, agency. Got to get those two mixed up. It's an agency with MFL. It's a gallery in Sorare, where there's still some tweaking with the numbers, but I know a lot of users have wanted to say, can I just have a website or some sort of page that gives a rough estimate of sort of my gallery is worth. Then you can do people with their spreadsheets and then go crazy and they can do all their charts and whatnot.
I can make that for you right now. Zero. It's all worth nothing. It's all worthless. Have you seen the Sorare?
Big old boom.
It's fried air. Let's say, right?
Yeah. What was your initial opening sentence on your video last week, Cal? Was like, NFTs are dead. The boom was 4 years ago. Whatever it was.
My clickbait was that.
But yeah, no, Alexis does like superb work. To be fair, we had him on the pod probably about a year and a half ago, and that was when the website had just started. And I guess with all the new users, people giving feedback, he's open to feedback as well. So if you want something, the guy's a joke at what he does. So just say, can you do this? You can, you could have it's a gallery valuation. It then shows what clubs you own, and then you can click on a map and you can see where across the world all your clubs are. Which for me just says England and Spain. But if you're someone like Make Think and you want to see from a geographical point of view, I work and study maps, so I'm fantasized by that. That is spectacular seeing a map of all the clubs. But just shout out to Alexis and what he does. We need to appreciate the other devs outside of MFL as well. So big up to him.
Is there any benefit to having a club anywhere in the world?
Not at present, no.
Not yet.
Aside from might just get a better community following. Quito in Ecuador is the unofficial capital of MFL, where if you buy a club from there, you'll probably get about 5-6 people in Discord go, "Welcome to Quito, welcome to the."
As in like
club
LDU
gang.
Quito.
Just any club from that city from Quito.
So I on Sorare I own all of their one of rares.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. And now none of them play there anymore. So it's an experiment gone wrong.
So yeah, there's a lot of Quito fans, but I guess there is no benefit to having in particular locations at the moment. Could be a thing in the future. We don't know, but I guess the only thing with being particular locations is sometimes they carry premium with them. Like the American cities do, the French ones do, because a huge portion of play, very similar to Sorare, is French, because that's where the game is founded. The founders are French, so there's that premium there. So if you support a rogue team in England, like Poole or I don't know, Darlington or something like that, there's a chance you can probably get yours for less than floor value or less than pack value anyway.
Yeah, I went for the packs instead because I thought if I get a premium one, I'll be happy. It was explained to me, and it turns out I got Kyiv, Ukraine, and there's a guy that was linked to me.
Bosco.
I wanted him, but I'd already made the club. It wasn't just the what is it? The thing that you get at the start before you make. Yeah, so
branding, license.
So I think the license. So I'd already opened the license, and so I had a little back and forth with him, and then he just went, stone cold on me. So I thought, okay, he doesn't want the club.
Oh, Bosco. Oh, poor Bosco. Any sort of Ukrainian, especially on the drop streams, if a Ukrainian gets pulled, everyone just sort of acts him in the chat and goes, Bosco, someone's pulled a good, young, rare Ukrainian, like he's all over them. And you basically know, right, just give him for like 1.5 times the price, he'll have you for it. But also with the pack opening, he did the right thing. It's the experience of opening a pack and seeing the globe spin around and that suspense. A bit like when you get your So Rare rewards and you go, oh, locate or position, country, club. You're trying to compute whereabouts, who that player could be. It's that suspense, which is great. Until you get a place that you don't want.
Definitely have to do it one time. Okay, Diamonds update time. So we always take a look at the Diamond League, the top tier of MFL pyramid, and see how all the clubs are doing. So the number one right now, after 4 matches in first place, is Vissel London from Akane. With BFC Barcelona, they both 10 points. Then Naples and Meta 9, Bistione Ohm, Legend 6, Tango 5 Lions from Dio 4. Bottom, not surprising, TTP Training Grounds. Trust the Process has a club, has a diamond club, which is there just to farm MFL.
Full of stinky comments,
his goal difference is now minus 34, and he hasn't scored a goal yet. And I think it was B-Sellers or someone mentioned there should be like a ranking with playing TTP and without playing TTP. Compare those goal differences. But yeah, and that's also why Seller said actually BFC Barcelona with 10 points without having played TTP should be the real number one. So they did have a great start with 10 points. Maybe for the other ballers team, Manchester, it's more painful. They still have 0 points.
It'll be a tough season for them.
Out of 4.
Because Akane took some of BFC Barcelona's players when Akane came in and just dropped like 60k in a week. He took a load of their players, and then BFC's looked at their little child club, BFC Manchester, and gone, all right, we'll take some of you up. We'll promote you up from the academy side upwards. So Dane's got a challenge on. We did it last year. It's gonna be a tough one for them.
Tough season.
When you got people that come in and drop like 60 grand in a week, first of all, how has he got not enough money but enough time? Do you know what I mean? Because if you've got that much money, you probably got some stuff going on that occupies your time. So when you buy all of those players and all of those clubs, how have you got the time to sit, or do you just pay someone to do it? Are you like, right, go and manage all this for me?
Well, he can't do much at the moment because he's got a problem with Dapper Wallet. Well, I guess because you drop that amount of money, they've gone, right, couple of red flags here. We need to investigate this, which is fair enough. But I remember when he did that, I had a little chat with him. I was just messaging on Discord, and I did like a little extra Dirk midweek pod about it. And he was like, yeah, I want like 300 clubs. I'm not sure how serious he was, but when we saw that level of conviction within a space of 5-6 days just after Christmas, everyone was believing him. If you're dropping that amount of money and you want 300 clubs, go for it.
You spoke on how he was farming MFL from the top, right, in Diamond. I like the idea of doing that from the bottom, because if you're buying 25 $1 players per club and then a club that you can maybe get for like what, $60, $65 for a club, so you're looking like maybe $90 outlay for every club that you could have in the Ice League. And I think if what Matt was telling me is accurate and how I understand it, you can have one club effectively in every league. So right now you can have 86. Now nobody's going to actually have 86 clubs down there, but how if you got players young enough, how long realistically do you think it would take your $90 club buy-in and $1 players to effectively make profit and then do that en masse, right? Because if you're thinking 25 players per club, some of them are going to go crazy and be worth a lot more that you can sell on and recoup a lot of that loss. But even once the players retire or just turn out to consistently be crap, you don't have to buy the club again. That initial investment has already been there. It's just the $1 players. And the bottom of the table right now, which is what I plan to do with my club that's now, for some stupid reason, outperforming my better club. Even if I finish bottom, I'll get 1,200 MFL. Now, if I had that at scale, that's a lot of MFL per season. How long we're talking 5 seasons before you're like, right, I've broke even, 10 seasons? Is it impossible?
if you don't factor progression, then I couldn't really give a number. And I guess it's also a bit about discipline there as well, because if you do have some really good players that pop off and you sell them, I won't buy 25 players this time, I'll buy 250, and then they all actually turn out to be stinkers because you just got really lucky on the first 25. So I don't really know how long.
But also, it really depends how you spend at MFL. Like, you can do the strategy of then buying for 2,000 MFL loads of new common players. Some people buy uncommon packs for 10,000 and then flip them on floaty for $35. So then you have, like, with 5 clubs, you already have that one pack $35. That's like half a club you already got covered. So it really, or you save up for a rare pack, and if you have a couple of good pools, that can easily be $300 per player.
So you get one rare player, is that right? You get one player in the pack.
Yeah, the reward for
52k.
Just one player.
52K.
Yeah, so for 52,000, let's say every team finished bottom, and you get 1,200 per time. What would you need there? Like 60 clubs effectively to guarantee 52,000 MFL per season. Oh, I was just saying that's all right.
The theory works so well until you open that reward pack and you get a 28-year-old goalkeeper who's 5'5", worth probably less than all the commons that you pay for, and you go, oh, was it really all worth it? But if as long as you're having fun doing it, then that is, go for it. Maybe that is a piece of content, Nep. You gotta do that with your, Make Think has his common farms where he just does it. Maybe that's what you've got to do as well. Have all those $1 common players and see which one turns into, project. Project Mbappe or project.
Yeah, you have like
XYZ.
double extra shots. You have like the progression side that you could have a big profit there, and you have just a steady MFL ref, and you can then buy common players who have again that potential chance to become a superstar. So there's like tons of lottery tickets.
Yeah, I don't know if I like the idea of getting more common players. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, isn't it? Would you prefer like, what would it end up being, like 25 common or 26 common players, or one rare player? Because obviously, if you get lucky and you get a sick rare, you're like laughing. But if you get some deadbeat goalkeeper, you're going to be like absolutely furious. But you might open 26 common player packs and also get 26 deadbeat goalkeepers. Yeah, so,
I feel like you'd be more, or you'd be happier with a lower end rare than you would with constant lower end commons. Yeah. If someone pulls up with a 39 rated, you're going, oh no, why have I got all these stinky commons? But
you have different strategies. Some people go for loads of uncommon packs, some for some rare packs. So you can also do the floaty route and then buy a targeted guy.
What is floaty?
So floaty is a NFT marketplace where you can sell packs.
Okay.
So you can sell those reward packs.
Yeah. Oh,
so let's say instead of buying a rare player, you buy 5 uncommon packs. You sell it for 35 each. So then you have like 175 USD, and for that you can buy a pretty decent rare player. So instead of taking the risk, you just gather funds and then buy that rare player.
Is that because other people can't get the MFL, so they just pay a premium on somebody who has got the MFL?
Basically,
okay, that's pretty cool. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That
so
even gives more. Doesn't that lend more credence to just having loads of shitter teams
MFL.
to just get MFL? Yeah.
Well, essentially, that's what Trust is doing with his diamond side, right? No one else. What the diamond team has gone right. If that just, I pay whatever it was, $799 for it, and it goes all the way down to ice. Yeah, thank you. I forgot what the pyramid was there for a second. Go down to
I'm
ice.
there, so I know about it.
Yeah. You go down to ice. Then you'd at least earn. He'd probably calculate earn X amount. Could probably do well in the cups, maybe, because cups are done relative to strength, not in terms of what division you're in. You could still earn something there. He's like, well, I might as well more than just earn something with it. And say he's owned a diamond club at some point in his life, albeit probably have the same record as Derby in the Prem, being the worst one with
was it 8 points, was it?
Yeah, it was 8 or 9 points, wasn't it? That'll be a record that will never be broken in MFL if Trust goes 0 points, like minus 500 goal difference and 0 goals. That will be that's the game.
The big question is, will he score a goal this season? So after four matches, no goals, 35 against, but let's see if he will score a goal. We'll see. Quickly finish up the report of our Diamond League is that Bishona and Meta played against each other. That was interesting. And Meta Mercenaries, one of the best teams in MFL, kind of dominated that game, 1.5 XG against 0.17. So is Meta back? I don't want to jinx them again.
Oh,
but
don't. We know
I
the
don't say
curse
it.
of the pod. You've said it. Is Meta back?
Is
Ronan's
Meta
going to
back?
be fuming.
Yeah, I think so. But it's promising. Then one final thing is that there's a first Diamond Derby, a real Diamond Derby tonight, because Naples Goldfeather is from Naples. And also K Socios and Diamond is from Naples. So it's 2 Naples licenses. So Napoli Derby there.
Is like, I don't know how many managers there are or how many clubs there are. I think like 3,000 or so, right? Is there like proper fandom in this regard? Like, are these guys like sitting there like going at each other, or are they just like, is it like friendly?
I think,
or
it's
do
a bit
they
of
not
both.
even know each other? Are they just like, I don't know that guy? Like,
I think there is a bit of shit talking sometimes, isn't there? There is a bit of shit talking, and we love to see it. But I think most of them are friendly. But when there's like a cut fire on the line, and especially there's a couple of people in the community who, some people, maybe the MFL etiquette we spoke about last week, maybe sometimes not doing the right thing. If you play against them, you're like, oh god, I really want to beat you, really want to beat you, just because I know on the other side of there you'll be fuming. Or when you beat someone, you see the engine feedback channel suddenly pop up the messages, and they link this game and go, oh, why is my keeper doing this? And you're watching it, and you know that's your team that's beating them to cause that message. You're there going, that feels so good.
But the good thing also is that you stay within the same side of the pyramid, so you really build rivalries. So now if I promote or Jimbo relegates, we'll be back in the same Iron League and having the derby again. So you keep meeting the same teams. What if
great. Is it how many people get promoted from each tier
like up to 3?
Up to 3.
Yeah.
So what if more people get relegated that were all on the same side of the pyramid?
Well, it depends a bit also on like the owners. Is it like the same owner, and especially in the higher tiers?
There's a couple of edge cases they call it, isn't there?
Yeah, there can be some edge cases, but preferably, put them like within the little pyramids.
In the Ice and Stone, sometimes people could be in different leagues because obviously there's so many more clubs coming into Ice each season now. Especially those sort of, if you looked at your Silver League, you could look and see what other division you'd be in Gold or in Plat. You can see that route up because those are more defined, and how we're going from that sort of top down like fill up approach, while some of the inactive clubs sort of filter their way down. But yeah,
is the inactive clubs even that high?
I don't know. They can't be. Well, none in Diamond. I don't know where they're. Yeah, well, if they're inactive and they're not playing, they just get auto relegated. They just get auto relegated even if they're not registered.
Okay.
But there's I think the ones that maybe do register and then are inactive during the season, they can't be higher than bronze. I don't think now with 2 relegations going in. But I think
over time they will all drop down to Ice.
They'll all drop down, yeah.
And that's where I'll clean up.
Yeah, clean up.
Yeah, as long as you don't buy the Ipswich, there's an Ipswich license out there somewhere which is inactive, which is brilliant news because I'd love to see my Norwich rivals Ipswich have an inactive license and no one's using it. It's just gone straight down to Ice, so I love that. So as long as you don't buy that,
one club per town? Is there only one Norwich?
There's 3 Norwich actually. There was only 1, and then they minted 1 in Ice, and then when they minted some more Ice ones last week, they added a second one. And there's an air table, like a spreadsheet, and you can see all the addresses of who owns all the different clubs.
Okay.
And if they're not packed yet, they just say MFL next to wallet owner. So I've just been every day checking it to see when that suddenly those 3 letters MFL changes to random 16 numbers and letters, and I'll just jump in there and be like, "What? I want your Norwich club." But it is random though, and sometimes it's done on like population sizes of these locations, which is why you'll look at some in England and go, "Why on earth is I don't know, like Weymouth, or why on earth is some random town which has 10 people in Cornwall got its own club?" But it's just done on population. It's nothing to regard with sort of like footballing history and credibility, that sort of piece.
Yeah, same with the names, right? Like some names make no sense, but that's just because of census data. It's like, okay, like in Korea, apparently they don't have a lot of surnames. So they took all the expat surnames. So you have like Williams and Rodriguez and whatever.
Okay.
It's like, so it's sometimes the names are also based on that. Now, speaking about names, I'm going to shout out new managers I found in the sales bot. Quite a few, about 20. Which is great. So I've got a lot of new users coming in, such as Paris Delgas, Juan Antonio, Matsu, Mikmu78, King Nilom, Xerox Fat Nugget, Ecker, Kepia, Mr. Winner, Puskas91, MXW, Mr. Jose, Fabrizio Pozzovivo, Epic Magpie, Blue Panther, Luke Anstos, and Jean No. And as new user of the week, I put Guidetti 04181 because he's Dutch. And there's a lot of new Dutch users I found, which is great to see the Dutch community growing. And also just, I don't know if you guys know John Guidetti. He was like this Manchester City prodigy, then loaned to Feyenoord. He had one great season, and I just checked. He's now back in Sweden playing in Allsvenskan. So he had a fun career, but like in the Netherlands as Feyenoord, he was a big, like a legend for one season. So market moves, common, uncommon. Gianluca Celia was scraping the floor. He's apparently going for that quantity strategy, seeing if you can find some talents with a lot of commons, a lot of $1 and $2 commons. Rare Players Dio had a very interesting purchase. He spent 500 USD on an 83 rated striker, 23-year-old, with 97 shooting. So it might be the shooting that he paid, or a bit overpaid for that, or maybe that progression that he also checked.
I think Dio's also got quite a robust scouting strategy as well. Like he'll try and find players who've actually progressed by quite a bit on the basis that he thinks that will continue, and he's willing to bank on that. And and
I think especially with 97 shooting, then any other dribbling or pace with a striker he quickly goes up higher in overall. So I think that's why he paid a bit much, but he's gonna progress. Legendary players, NLR bought a 86 center back, 21-year-old for 600 USD. So it's also with eye on progression, might be a good purchase. And club-wise, Madwoman, who had 4 clubs, now has 6 clubs. She bought 2 ice clubs in the span of 2 weeks. 55 USD, 60 USD, so also pretty cheap. While Louis got a Messina Stone for 53. So the clubs are still pretty cheap, I would say. And with the eye on clubs don't retire, I think maybe our club price is too low or not. That's
liquidation.
Something, you can ask yourself. Then Jimbo, do your life.
This week's of Splash of the Week. There's a little jingle. So this week's Splash of the Week goes by a player named Diogo Cesar, 90 rated right back, which Lopez bought from Joe Bettman for $1,145. Lovely purchase. 23 years old. He's a right back. He's Brazilian. He's 90 rated. And here's his stats. 93 pace, 89 passing, 87 dribbling, defending's 91, physical's 88. And because I know you're also keen to know what a right back shooting stat is, it's 32. So nice little purchase there from Lopez. I know he's part of the Ballers DAO, so that has gone straight into BFC Barcelona to increase their hopes of hopefully getting their second ever Diamond League title, well, first ever in the real seasons, but big purchase from Lopez there.
So where did Bettman get this from? Where did Joe get this from? Because he's not bought him. Did he pack him then?
It could have been a pack. It could be a trade that's happened, and they won't. So the players that will show like the sale history. Sometimes not the trading. That can be trade. There used to be a website called Evaluate XY or XYZ. I think it's XY, and they stopped trading is probably the way to put it. Stopped trading probably about 6-7 months ago maybe, and that was a really good site to trade players on, which is why MFL now looking at integrating their own into the website rather than, you can do it on Floaty, but you have to offer 1 cent. You have to offer a 1 cent offer to that player, and then the player has to accept it, and they swap. So it's basically a purchase, but it's a trade. However, there are a couple bad actors, we'll call it, who might try and snipe in, because you have to cross-reference and verify the addresses. It doesn't just say, like, one of your players, Nep, it won't say Jimbo's offered, it will say my wallet address, which obviously to many people is just absolute foreign language.
Numbers,
yeah, but you have to verify it. So that's where Joe's player probably came from. He's been in the game for a long time as well, so...
As a big player, he also has regular reward, like Lego reward packs each season.
Oh yeah, true. That's
like one or two coming in, so maybe he packed them also. But yeah, big trades. Then very quickly, we always talk IRL, MFL, couple things we seen over the weekend. football moments, Jimbo usually talk about FPL.
But yeah, FPL's
MFL,
currently double
FPL.
game week, so it's not. So I guess there was nothing this week. I think midweek you've got the Liverpool double game or the Merseyside derby midweek, which is interesting. And for those of you listening and like, is MFL doing FPL? Yeah, myself and Bosco run an FPL league with MFL. And if you have the highest amount of points for that game week, you get 800 MFL. If you have highest for the month, you get 2,000. And we give away like top 4 for the league standing. Just a nice way to just, if you play play FPL, it's free, and you can earn yourself some free MFL as well.
How do you give away MFL? Does Matt give it to you to give away?
No, we document and record all the winners, and I message Lucas and we're part of the team as well, and I say, Lucas, this person Nep won this week. Can you send him 800 MFL? And then it gets.
Can you just do that anyway and lie to him and just say that?
Yeah, I've won 3 weeks in a row. No, we have to do those spreadsheets so they can see it as well. But it is funny when like I think Bosco's won it before. I haven't won it. I haven't won a game. We've done it for 2.5 years and I've still not won a week. And I play FPL weekly, so horrendous for me.
Technically, for you, people could buy MFL. Like they give you money, and then you say they got MFL, and then you can exchange it.
Because you can.
You're like the only exchange.
In exchange,
MFL exchange. You
but
can
because you got like triple captain, all these different chips you can play in FPL. You could just triple captain on the first week on a week that no one else will do it, and then just get free 800 MFL. And then maybe that might help towards your dev center or dev jail, for example.
Can be
you could play the system. You could play a system, but then you might not. You probably impede your chances of later in the season. But my IRL MFL, not FPL. I want to talk about the Leyton Orient goal. I want to say screamer of a goal. It is a screamer of a goal against City at the weekends. But obviously for the record books, it'll go down as an Ortega own goal, which I think is just horrendous. And I can't remember the bloke's name now because it was too far away to read his name in the pub on the TV I was watching it on. But he's hit it from just inside the halfway line. It's come off the crossbar, then hit Ortega and gone in essentially. And it will always be known as, from the record books, as an Ortega own goal. But if you were there and you watched it, you would have known that was
with no VAR. Can they conclusively prove that it wasn't over the line coming off the bar? Just give them the goal. Do you know what I mean?
Give them the goal. And you don't get assists for own goals. I know in FPL you do. If you're the lad who fizzes it across and it goes in, you get the assist of 3 points. But that's not how the rule books work within real life, so to speak. But he'll be doing all his most filing appeal cases to the FA to say, no, that should be my goal. And they should just do the nice thing and go, yeah, go on, we'll give it to you. And it saves the blunder from Ortega as well, because he'll forever be known as, and if especially if they'd lost that game, forever be known as the lad who got chipped from 50 yards by League Two. Is it Leyton Orient League Two? Yeah.
League One, I think I just checked or not.
Oh really? I don't know they're that high up. Fair play. Well,
I used to live in Hainault, which is 2 tube stops away from Leyton Orient.
So your local team then?
Well, not anymore. I live in Bournemouth now, but they were for a while. My local team. Yeah.
Yeah, they are League One. I just checked.
They're League One. They're League.
Yeah. They're not even minnows then, are they? Who cares about League One teams?
They're already 2 dips. Yeah. It's only like a bronze team beating, scoring a goal against a gold team. That happens in the IMF Cup every season. This is nothing new in the MFL world.
Yeah. But you also mentioned it because people would be fuming if this happened to them in IRL, MFL, like in MFL, let's say, right? Such a goal. Like, my goalie is so good. Like, Ortega would be like a legendary goalie. How can he not stop the shot from this common guy?
It's not real.
Come on.
Like, you're giving me flashbacks of my game today.
Yeah.
An own goal and an error led to goal from my goalkeeper against the worst team in the league. I'm actually livid. This whole podcast, I've just been furious.
All right. My IRL MFL moment is that maybe you know Mohamed Iataren, if you heard about him, Jimbo.
I recognise the surname.
He used to be really, really big talent at VSV. Then he went to Ajax. But then he kind of, a lot of personal troubles. Ended up like Sparta Prague, no club. And then somehow he restarted his career at RKC Waalwijk. And since he's been like back in the starting 11 there, they've been playing very well. So you could argue he also has a very unique progression path, goes up a lot, maybe even goes down. You cannot do it in MFL, you cannot lose overall, but he definitely kind of lost it IRL. And now he's like back to his old ways of like nice passes and great free kicks and corners. So hopefully he can finally fulfill that promise. Then the final thing of the updates is the beer top 3. So I'll tell you, Nep, the current top 3, and then you can replace one of those beers with a beer of your choice. So number 3 is Erdinger. Palmer put it in there last week. Second is Brewer's Banquet Original, Taggart. And Delirium by Dio from Dio.
The only real beer, apparently.
The
'cause
only
it's
real
made
beer.
by Belgian monks.
Belgian
like
monks,
that,
exactly. It's on the first place. So, Nep, you're not a big beer drinker, I heard?
Not a big
No?
beer drinker, but when the question was posed to me, I thought, you know what? I saw this thing on TikTok last year, and I tried it, and it was actually legit. But you could take basically any like light beer or lager, or like a Peroni or something like that. Put like a shot of amaretto in it, and it tastes like Dr Pepper. And I love Dr Pepper, so that's my beer of the week. Just take a beer and put a shot of amaretto in it.
Beer with amaretto. And where would you put it then? First, second, or third? Like, are you gonna break some?
Yeah, like
hearts?
first, obviously. Like,
Oh,
you
Dion's
have to-
gonna be fuming. It's not even like a legit beer. It's a cocktail basically. We basically put a cocktail first place and a beer top 3.
That makes
I
perfect
think-
sense. Yeah.
I think Dio and all Belgian monks are gonna cry. But okay, we put beer with amaretto.
Is
On
there
the first place?
is there a beer that you commonly did that with, or is it just you just picked any sort of?
Like
like
literally
lager.
either like Peroni or what's the one you put lime in?
Corona?
Yeah, Corona.
Corona.
Yeah, like
yeah.
that.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any beer with amaretto to make kind of a Dr Pepper beer.
Listen,
Let's call
take
it,
the beer that was number 1, put amaretto in that. Job done. All right, yeah, there you go.
We'll
I
ask
think
Dio to
if you
do
do
that.
that,
We'll ask
then
Dio to
Dio
do that.
personally visits you with like some army of monks to rectify.
Never
the choice.
invited him to Belgium ever again.
Yes.
So, but I think I'll be all right, to be honest. Yeah.
All right. So, well, we've been already talking quite a long time with the update section, but we've kind of
it's all
intertwined
good.
some other questions and content, which is great. But now we are here for the proper manager spotlight. So we're gonna ask NepentheZ about his MFL story, his experiences, his long-term goals, etc., to get him to know him a bit better. So first of all, we always ask our guests about their MFL story. So how did you find out about MFL and why did you join?
So when I was on Footy Index. I don't know if you guys were as well.
Yeah.
And
I wasn't on
got
it. I
burnt.
think I may put like $5 in it.
Oh, is
at
that
one
right?
point. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I got involved in that site when it was like really early stages, and I put about $2,000 into it. But I bought players when they were like pennies because like, I was like first in, like one of the one sites I was actually like first in for. And then I got like randomly I logged onto my account one day and couldn't get in there. And I messaged the help team, and they said that because I have influence, I can influence the market too much, so they've suspended my account. Then they just stopped responding to me. I couldn't get my money back out, couldn't like sell my things or
Wow.
anything. Transpired that they had done that with a lot of the whales on there because they knew what was coming and that they couldn't afford to pay all these people out because it was a bit of a rug pull.
Yeah.
Then I got into Sorare a little bit, but I always loved, I loved Footy Index. Like I loved the idea behind it and what it was about. And so when I got into Sorare, I started searching for like management games, and I like maybe thought about creating my own one, and then tried to do a bit of research about creating my own one, and found an absolute like plethora of these sites. Right, so I signed up to Z Run. I don't know if you ever played that.
I've
Yeah,
played
The
horses.
horse racing one, yeah.
Yeah,
So I've
horse
still got a
racing.
couple of like unopened horses, like I'm just sitting on them. I don't know if they're ever worth anything or whatnot. I signed up to UFC Strike, Ultimate
Yeah.
Champions, Meta
Yeah.
League, Club Game World, which I think has since bit the dust and doesn't exist anymore. Hot Wheels NFTs, Footium, Stocks, One Future Football, Soccerverse, and MFL. And they were like literally every single one that I could find, I'd sign up to. And so I actually joined MFL and created my account when it was still in like beta stages. But it was so hard to like get into because I couldn't use my Dapper wallet. I had a issue with them, couldn't get into that. And then like it was just one of those ones where I was like, whatever, I don't really care. Like, it's in beta, like it doesn't even look great. Like whatever, I'll happily like miss this one. And then the Ramble were talking about MFL and the new update, and season 3 was around the corner. I was like, I remember that game. Let me go and check it out. And I came on the site and I was like, damn, this is like this is just a lot better than I remember it being. Like, this is actually like pretty legit. And then I got put in contact with Matt and I've had a couple of calls with him now, and he was like answering a few questions I had just about it, which like really put me at ease and excited me a bit. But also he was showing me a few things that I hadn't like necessarily noted. For example, like the players' history and stuff, like looking at their stats over time and things like that. And I was like, oh man, this is me. Yeah. And so I immediately was like, right, who can I watch? And then I found your guys' podcast, and I'm very curious as to why it's called the WenDirk podcast.
We can answer that after this,
I was just like, the more I got into it, and now I'm like, I waste countless hours, not even looking at how I can do, but looking at what other people are doing, and like just reading the discords, and I kind of I really want to make content on it, and I've got a lot of what I think are good ideas for content on it. But as I said to you before, as you noted before, like I'm very like cautious of just going straight in and like bringing my audience to it on content, because if it's not the sort of thing that I'll actually last on, if it's the sort of thing that's like a flash in the pan for me, I spend 2 weeks on it and then I'll just forget about it ever again. I don't want to make content on it. But I think the pain of the loss today is so deep that I think I'm pretty safe in the fact that this is something I'm going to be on every day.
Wait till you play in a cup final, and then you got you know, if you have like a smartwatch on, you'll be going, why is my heart rate 145 beats per minute for what's going to be 6 minutes of my life watching this game?
Well, I should be all right in the cup, so because if I have one team in every ice league, it will just be me against me, so I'll just be guaranteed to win. Do you know what I mean? So
a long-term strategy.
Yeah,
your own cup could be happening. That's great. Yeah, you definitely. I think if you catch the MFL bug, if you catch the virus, and then you see, like with a real football club, right? Those results, they can hurt you. I think, Jimbo, if you see Norwich, well, you're usually watching them, right? But if you see their score and they lost, you're like, oh, it can really, drag you down.
Well, at least the MFL, you go, well, for the most part, when the seasons are on, I've got 24 hours until the next game. Yeah, and obviously tomorrow, because it's cups as well. Is tomorrow a double day or not? I can't remember.
For me, I think so.
Yeah, double day. So you've got to, remember that as well, folks. You'll have your cup game, and then a couple of hours later. But also remember, if you get a player sent off in that first cup game, it doesn't carry over to that league game's next one. It's only after 18 hours or so. So that's something to bear with.
Again, I'm gutted with myself. I'm so stupid. I shouldn't have rested my players today, because the league is more important to me. If I can get promoted, it's obviously massive. The cup in the division that I'm in, like even just to get to the round of 16 offers like 800 MFL, I think it is. And I'm like, is it like, maybe I should just put my reserves in there, rest my big boys in the cup game and just focus on the league. But I was like, no, let me see how that first game goes. Let me just test it. Like, what if I'm better than these guys? And their teams are like quite competitive to mine. I think I probably should finish second or third in the cup. So I'm thinking maybe they will rotate, so I would get an edge and get out of the group stage and stuff. But no, it's not for, I don't know what division, how much MFL you guys get in like just the cup for doing well, but it's really not worth it with the team that I've got. Yeah, and so I'm livid with myself today. Livid. Can you tell?
People watching this on YouTube, they'll be like, yeah, they can see how much Nep's raging. But yeah, it definitely scales up quite a bit in terms of the cups, and especially for, say the Titans Cup, obviously where the top 32 clubs in MFL will compete, even go down to like Challenge, which I think is the second or third one maybe. Just getting out of the group stages can provide you with quite a hefty sum. And in some cases, like for me, with my bronze team, I only finished 8th last season in bronze. But because I finished second in the cup, it sort of offset the reduction in rewards from the league, because I got quite a bit within the cup. But usually I sort of rotate into the cup group stages. But if I'm doing well, I then go, actually, let me try and push for this knockout stage to try and get into it. Because the higher up you go in those cups, then it can be rewarding. It can be the difference between, coming at the end of the season and you want to get an uncommon player pack for 10,000 MFL, and you're there on 9,300, and you're going to call that 800 would make the difference here. If you can go for it without the opportunity cost of impeding your league performance, it's definitely worth this, at least getting out of the group stages. That'll be my advice on that front.
Yeah. Now with my gold club in the Elites Cup, it's like 42k if you make it. So that's such a huge amount that you would. Although you also have it's super competitive. So the league is also a big relegation threat, but having that 42k, that's already such a big bonus. Also with like the packs you can buy and just the value. So then you might prioritize or do that final push indeed to get that sum.
I had, like my starting team, my starting 11 is pretty good for the league, and like I think I should win the league with it. But my reserves and backups are terrible, like they're awful. And my plan was like, let me just like play the starting guys a lot until I can pinpoint those clubs that I come up against where the manager's given up or they've just they've run their players into the ground, and then I can rotate through there. And then I was listening to one of the Ramble podcasts, and they were saying how like they was talking on like what percentage do you get to before you rotate, and they all agreed that like once it goes from the light green to the little bit of off green, which I think is at 92%, that's when they immediately will take them out. So I'm looking at my team now being like, damn, I was going to be happy to go into like the mid 80s. Like that's still good, isn't it? But because I haven't got any like data or backup like knowledge for myself on how it impacts, I just went off what they said. So they cost me the loss today as well. Like, do you know what I mean? It's their fault.
Deflect the blame. Their fault.
The rotation is... Everyone has their own way, I think.
What do you guys do for it? Where do you go to?
I think we're both team like 92 is the lowest. Yeah. Depends a little bit. Like sometimes 91 and 90, 89, if you have to make that cup push and you have like your top striker, for example, I would still play him at 90, 89.
Do you see a significant drop off in performance at that point? Or like because as I say, I've got like maybe like a 78 rated right back, and then my backup right back's like 55 rated. It's like, how far down can I drive him before it's worth trading him out? Like,
yeah, I think if there's definitely a +2, +3, I think it's worth keeping the overall. But I don't know. It's just I've never let them drop down lower than that.
Yeah, so if my place at like 91, 92, I'll give them one more game so they hit like 89, and I'll chuck them out and rotate them off that piece. But have I noticed a significant drop off if I don't rotate them? I try not to let it happen in the first place, so I can't even really give an answer for that because it's all psychological. Where I go, if I didn't rotate and I lost a game, I'll be blaming myself that was the reason why. So I'm like, right, let me try and remove the reasons as to why self-inflicted loss. If I rotated and I lost, I go fair enough because I rotated. But if I didn't and I still lost, I'd be more angry at that, I think, because I've lost and I've hit his fatigue more, then I have to rotate, and it just that could maybe snowball and compound. So, but I try and stick to like that, like early 90s is a sweet point. I think early 90s is a sweet point, and most will agree on it. But some people might play them more because then they get more match XP for progression. But obviously, then your performances might be hindered slightly because they're fatigued. There's a spin-off. Do you go for, are you a results-driven manager? Are you a progression-driven manager? Do you want to try and balance the two? There's different ways you can play MFL, which is why it's fascinating, that piece.
Yeah. Also, like, I have super lean squads with only 17, 18 guys, and I keep rotating everyone.
I'm trying that this season, by the way. I'm trying I'm scared.
The lean rotation.
I'm scared. I usually do full 11 in out. Makes it super easy. And sometimes I might do one or two, but now I'm having to... I always play 3 at the back. I'm now got 5 centre backs, and I'm having to like rotate them each on like a little cycle.
I do it 4 even.
I have a CDM. I have a CDM who can drop centre back at a higher rating. So I need to. Sometimes I can pick him with a CDM or a centre back. Okay. But yeah.
Yeah. So you see, we're also debating
different strategies
about different strategies indeed. Speaking about strategy, like what would be? You just mentioned maybe I'm gonna buy like ton of ice clubs and just chuck them full of like low comments. But right now, what would be your long-term goal or strategy? What do you like a couple seasons?
I don't know if you guys have ever like watched the FIFA content, or if you're interested in FIFA or whatever. But
I used to watch you when I was in high school. If
is that right?
For what it's worth. Then
and now you're like a grown man with kids.
grown man, right? Yeah. But no, I used to work back. No, I'm mid-20s now. And maybe about 10 years ago back, I feel like it's a FIFA 13, FIFA 15, where FIFA, I don't know what the community's like these days, but it feels a lot bigger back then than it was now. That might not be the case because obviously you front line of that.
Probably fair. There's definitely a lot more creators now. But the biggest creators are not as big.
No,
or they've moved,
on when you had, like Harry and
they went. Yeah, they did the smart thing. I didn't. I stayed in the games. I did the stupid thing and stayed in it. But I've always been a fan of like rags to riches. My strategy will definitely be trying to work my way up. But like it gets really difficult with MFL, and it's why it's really piqued my interest, because there's something in like getting some like common guy like 16, 17 years old, and by the time he's in his early 20s, having value in him being like maybe, I don't know, an uncommon. And I don't know if I would want to keep him because he's mine, or if I would want to like I don't know what you say, like contract him out or whatever.
Yeah, loan him out.
Loan him out. Or if I would want to sell him and put more in at the bottom. But at what point does that whole like snowball effect of constantly selling and putting more in the bottom eventually take its toll to either being unmanageable time-wise, or just like, statistically you will eventually just have all the shit players. You know what I mean? So like at what point is it, sorry for swearing, I don't know.
No, you can go for it. You go for it. Go for it.
Like I don't know if I do want to get a club in Diamond, like I would have to like really map out a plan of like, would I sell my players, I would never want to like sell my club license and buy a club license. I would want to take the clubs up the divisions, but buying and selling the players I definitely would want to do. But it's, a 6-week seasonal period. That's actually a significant portion of real life time, isn't it? So if I'm sitting there saying, okay, it's going to take me 35 seasons for my plan I might be dead halfway through it. Do you know what I mean? Like I might not make it. So I don't know. The idea is to start at the bottom and work my way up. But
okay,
yeah.
I know that club delegation is something that the MFL guys want to eventually bring out, and it could be that you could have X amount of clubs net, and you could have some really close members of your community who you really trust and maybe want to get into MFL, and you can go, right, let's put you in the spotlight a bit. You said you guys have checked in my comments, said you could manage one of my clubs well. I'll give you the clubs and the players, and you can have X amount of MFL in terms of a reward for managing and owning it, and see how they get on, and you could do some stuff like that.
Can you buy a club with MFL, or is it just cash for the club?
It's just cash for the club, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay. So MFL is just for the packs at the moment.
Yeah, just
and the development center.
The dev center. Yeah.
I don't mind it. Like a few. When I did briefly look at MFL on stream once, and I got already like 20 people like signed up, but 3 people have like met the requirements.
Criteria.
But the biggest thing that people kept saying was like, "Oh, I'm not paying $70 or $80 for a club. Like, what a ripoff." I'm like, you buy a FIFA every year for like 100 quid.
Yeah.
You could buy this one time.
And even if you do one like FIFA point purchase, that's like, that's a pack.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm like, what I like about MFL from like a starter's point of view is if you buy the club, you've got an asset that you could just sell if you want to, but you could also get a whole team in.
Yeah.
At no charge. And just if you're a Shroud manager in that regard and you kind of like negotiate your agency fees and stuff, you could keep 20, 30, 40% of your own MFL whilst everybody else is like supplying the players. Alternatively, if you don't have the budget or the finances to buy that initial club, you just put $5 in. Buy 5 players, like agency or contract them out, loan them out. Who knows, right? Maybe you get some MFL as a starting point. Worst case scenario, maybe they go up that 1 point. You sell them for $2. Now you've got $10. You buy 10 players the next season and rinse and repeat. So I really like even though it does cost to play this game, I really like the fact that it's a low entry fee and it has massive potential of growth if you actually manage your club and your players well.
Yeah, definitely. Because I guess nicely follows on to the next question about sort of the content piece around it. You mentioned briefly on the MFL Ramble that, and like you said today, that you want to get to know the game more and be knowledgeable on it before ever creating content on it. And you mentioned a bit of a rags to riches piece or like a road to glory or something along those lines. Is there any other sort of ideas you had in the back of your mind that maybe brainstormed a piece about content? And I guess and I guess as well, sort of the follow up we've got is how can us as a community, MFL, yourself, we've seen a lot of Sorare users come across because it's that common denominator of like the Web3 and understanding and of players and things like that. How can we sort of attract some of those FIFA and Football Manager now delayed. Obviously, we've not really spoke about that.
Well,
that could have been our whole moment. Yeah,
that was going to be my leading point actually. Now that they've cancelled FM 25, that is a whopping opportunity for any content creator right now, yourselves included in MFL, to make a video literally titled use FM as the hook. Do you know what I mean? Like, Football Manager is cancelled.
Calvert's going there going, yeah, buddy.
I already did one, short, but it only got like 30 views. So, but
you can use that. You can use Football Manager in your titles, in your tags, in your description and stuff. But more of like for people that are going to go online and be like, what can I play instead of Football Manager? That's the title of the video. Like, what can you play instead of Football Manager? MFL is here. And then give a little brief rundown of like the things that people would actually be attracted to on MFL that marry up with Football Manager, the stats, the trading, the transfer market, the cup competitions. Like, if you ignore the NFT, the microtransactions, the buying the packs, and just focus on I had this player in season 1, they was 55 rated or 65 rated, they progressed this much. This is how much they were worth. Not in I can buy them for this much or sell them for this much, even though that is the reality of the situation. But in the sense of their market price was $45 when I bought them 3 seasons ago. I've played them, I've earned with them, I've won with them. They got the golden boot or the golden glove. Now their market value is $110. If you show people that side of things, not an actual like transaction, but what they were worth and what they are worth, people would be a lot more inclined to be like, oh damn, like. Yeah. I can see myself getting involved in this.
Well, that's why you've been creating content for over a decade, isn't it? Really got the template out there for anyone listening.
I made some FM videos like comparing and the big differences and they always say the pay to win thing, right? They say like, you just the one who spends the most. But I'm like, that's literally football. Chelsea is paid to win, right? Yeah. It's like they simulate the whole economy, and instead of like you play in FM or play FIFA, you have AI economy and fake money. You use real money, real economy. So you can like Akane come in and spend 60k, or you have to be smart like a lower tier club and be super smart with your transfer policy. Or like a lot of Dutch teams, they rely on talents and selling. That's their whole budget. Is just transfer fees. You have to grow talent, youth academy. You can do the same MFL, but that's like one switch they need to make. And what you said before, like FIFA players, FM players, they $80 or 70 quid or for the new game plus maybe food packs or DLCs or I don't know whatever. So you also spend money each year on your hobby.
But you can't win money back. Well, you can in theory if you're like really good at playing FIFA. You can win the tournaments, but people don't. It's like like net loss is always there. Yeah. On MFL, you have these assets. You can win something. Exactly. That's where I think it's hard to connect that with like a lot. My audience is like 98% 18 and above. And a large portion of it, according to like the Google data and stuff, is like sort of like that 34 to 44 range, which like is perfectly in line with my own age. A lot of people that watch me have got disposable income. They don't mind, even if it's like I'll burn $100. I'll just buy it, and if it goes wrong, who gives a damn? A lot of people that might watch maybe like Football Manager content or especially like FC content, even though they don't associate buying a pack with just losing money because they think they get something out of it. Oh, I've got this like Team of the Year Ronaldo. You haven't, have you? It's like EA have got it. Like when they shut the servers down, you can't do anything with it. It's a lot harder like to have them understand why spending money on like a crypto game would give you actual like value. And the older the audience, the more connected they get to the game and to the creators. And I've noticed that as like I've got a lot older, is like I'm looking now, I don't enjoy content anymore from like younger people that like aren't just that, like literally looking for that endorphin hit of like hitting that big card, like nice. I'm more enjoying content that's like podcasts, people having a conversation about the game or the project or the product. And it's it's good with MFL because it's a lot easier to make content around talking about things on this game, because there's a lot, like it's hard, like I said to you at the start, maybe even before we was on the pod, it's hard to find information on this game. And I think you both would do well to make that content, like create that information like portal of like the nuanced things, but also just the general things. Like I did, the questions I've had today, I didn't even know if I could be in the same league as myself. Can I play with myself in the same cup? Like there's a lot of things that I think would just be a really good like reference point for people to come back to all the time of this is how it is. But in terms of like some other fun content, like making videos, like this is where like the 6-week season time comes in to almost be a bit of a hindrance almost, but making like so I bought 25 20-year-olds and we're just going to track their career, do like maybe have it as like incorporated with the viewership. Do we keep them and just see where they all go, and when it gets to retirement age, what have we won in terms of MFL with them? Or every time somebody gets to becomes from an uncommon to a rare, we sell them and we reinvest in a brand new batch of 20-year-olds. Seeing that cycle and having like the data there, the financial data, like it's not really tracked on MFL. It is, but it's not as like its own like subset of information. Having like a spreadsheet or whatever of like, okay, we bought these initial ones. This guy popped off. We sold him for like 10x. We bought 10 more. But we've got no more room in the team, so I've farmed those out to these guys. These are now producing this amount of MFL. Having that kind of like snowball and spider web of it all started from this. That sort of career journey, you could make a career. I bought 20, 35-year-olds, and this is what I was able to do with them. There's so much content that can be made that would be engaging to follow and would entice people then to get involved in the project, because if they see that you bought a whole bunch of like 35-year-olds and you got lucky and got like 5 or 6 of them that went till there was like 42, and you're like, damn, like I got a long career out of these guys. And this is what I ended up with, and my net like return was 30-40% more than what I spent. I'd be looking at it being like, damn, I could do that. Like I'm going to be interested in that. Yeah, let me do it. Yeah. But if you just see some guy come in and buy, drop $6,000 or 60 grand on all the highest rated cards, you're going to be like, well, I can't do that. That's unreasonable, right? Like,
speak to everyone on like the majority's level. Sort
of
thing.
The relatable content. Yeah.
Yeah, and we found with going back to the whole audience piece quickly, there's definitely like a mature audience with the MFL. Even from looking at some of the stats from our podcast, I think we're 76 episodes in now. I think until we got sort of the halfway point, apparently it said there was like no under 18s like listening to the podcast. Obviously, a very small snippet of the community itself, but it goes to show that, and that kind of helps out in terms of just having communication with people. That you might be talking to mid-30s guy who's pretty mature, knows what he's talking about, whereas you're trying to load in a player and you've got, not shitting on the younger teenagers, but going, I want 15% for my player. Like, no, just be realistic here, mate. And you can actually get along, have a chat with people, whereas you feel you don't get fleeced by little teenagers trying to make his extra 100 MFL or so. But
yeah, it's like 35 to 44, I think. Was like the biggest age bracket or something. Yeah, and there's also like a whole like dad community, right? Like the baller sometimes turns into like a parenting.
Oh yeah. My kid's ill. I'm having a rough time. It's been snowing, shoveling the drive, and I've just lost 4 games today. And like my day is crap. And they were like, same.
No, that's great. Like also the bit slower pace sometimes of it can be. I think that's also like 6 weeks as a season. Like it's kind of long sometimes for maybe younger guys. Also like they want a bit more faster pace and to have like the stories of longer development progression. But yeah, a lot of content I think out there. We're like pioneers. That's like very early, and there's so much more we can say and tell, etc.
I'm looking at
Palmer's question.
I'm finding
Palmer's question for Nep, do you reckon?
Sorry,
ask Nep Palmer's question.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's time.
And then we can answer Nep's question, which was why we called the WenDirkCast.
Yes. Yeah. So we always ask our guests to answer a question from our last guest, and then ask a question to our next one. So last week Palmer was here, and he asked, with stadium names now a feature, so you can name your stadium in MFL since season 3. Would you rather develop stadium grounds, stands, sponsors, aesthetics, or training facilities with an effect on player? Like Nep, if you would be a developer, what would you focus on in terms of like stadium aesthetics? Maybe like can you buy a training ground next to your stadium for like a little bonus as an NFT? Maybe what would you prefer with this?
I think if I was a developer, I'd probably focus on the like cosmetic side of like developing that. Was that part of the question? I think
aesthetics,
yeah,
cosmetics.
I definitely would focus on that because people get massively attached to that. Like I was just, the guy that had that right back, that 90 rate right back, I clicked on his gallery there and he's got 2 awards and I'm like, I want that. I want some awards. He's got a golden glove and a golden boot. I'm like, yeah, I want some stuff, man. Like give me these things. Like getting things like that, I think is a good like community driver as well. Whereas potentially, even though you could probably like make a bit more money off of selling some like training ground NFTs and stuff, it's almost like a divider of the community, isn't it? Like if you can afford to have a sick training ground, you're now getting an advantage that somebody else can't have, and like it creates a little bit of animosity perhaps, but I think cosmetics doesn't hurt anybody really.
Having this, the also speaking about personal player or player trophies, didn't mention that from this season onwards, we'll be getting the top assists of your leagues and cups will be getting their own trophy as well. So previously it was only the golden boot and the golden glove, but now the playmaker will be its own trophy as well.
I did suggest to Matt that he assigns a small MFL value to top scorer, best goalkeeper of each league. Because how cool would that be? Like, you know, you've got somebody guys banging in goals. You get, even if it's just like 200, 300 MFL for it, like, be pretty cool.
It would be nice. I think now we've got the fully fledged seasons. It's definitely a better idea than compared to the alpha seasons where you might be in a league or even, we could even argue in this case with the Trust the Process side and Diamond where everyone's probably going to score at least 10 goals. It's like, could that sway it a bit? But now that most of the divisions are super competitive and obviously the cups are as well, even if it's like I think it would be a nice little addition. It just feels a bit more rewarding aside from having a really sick trophy on your sort of agency cabinet, so to speak.
Just to go back to something we were talking about earlier, how do I get to tell if a player I've got has had lots of seasons before, like in terms of progression?
Well, you can go to his player page and then you see his stats from all the seasons, so you can see how many seasons he played. Like all the historic data is in the player page. We say view player page.
If you're on his player page, like his main player page with everything on there, you'll see like there's sort of like 3 columns at the top. Oh no, 3 columns at the top, and one will say observations, underneath it says progression.
Well, you have to scroll down to career, and then you see all.
So if I go to
seasons.
career and all, so this guy, he's only got his season 3 with me, is it right? So I don't know where I bought him from, but where did I get him from? I bought him for $1, right? So this guy must have just packed him, I guess, and sold him straight away.
Yeah.
So in the 4 games, now he went to my shitters team, and in 4 games, he's got from a 51 to a 52, but he's gained 2 passing, 2 defending, and 1 dribbling. I'm just saying, promising. If anyone wants to offer me like $50 or something for him, I think he's like the next big thing. And he can play right back, right mid, and centre mid. So I'm just saying.
Position, there you go.
Yeah,
utility.
That is a super promising start indeed. That's definitely.
I'm just a bit blown away by how much growth he's got. He's like the biggest growth player I've had.
Yeah, and
altogether.
just minted, so.
Yeah, so I'm just saying he might be one of those guys. He might be like 90 rated. You know what I'm saying?
Well, keep us updated on how he goes, yeah? Next year, it'll be like, right, he's not done anything for 10 seasons. That's all he's done now.
So, Nep, do you have a question for our next guest? Are you curious about something, or are you like a little dilemma or debate?
If you could add one feature to the game, what would it be and why? For like Cilla Black.
Our favorite
what would it be and why?
If you could add one feature, which one and why? Good one. Yeah, we like that question also because some features that people said like 2 years ago, 1 year ago, they've now been like released. So 2D was a big one, and now 2D is here. And some people then said individual player instructions. No, that's also here. Suspensions also here. So let's see what the next guest will say. And probably it will be like Yax is listening, and in half a year it's here. Maybe.
Yeah, all the team listen.
That's often how it goes. So maybe now stadium aesthetics, shirts, it would be really cool. Like some shirts aesthetics. Yeah, definitely. That's great to also add that to MFL.
I do like the idea of like the stadium growth and stuff. Maybe you're too young, Jimbo. I don't know how old you are, Calvin, but did you ever play Football Manager Live?
I didn't.
FM Live.
So it only existed for like 3 months, and it was insane, right? you paid like $4.99 a month to like be part of it, and like they put it on the sort of like the cost of a pint. You get a month's worth of the live service, and you got put into a world. And there was only 1,000 managers per world, and you got your team and your stadium and your staff and your players, and it was like everything was like about progression, and you had to like assign if you wanted to upgrade your like particular part of your stadium, and it took 6 minutes, and then the next upgrade took 6 hours, and then the next upgrade took 10 hours and stuff, like almost like a mobile app game now of like Clash of Clans,
like browser game.
That sort of thing. And it was just incredible. And I just remember being so fascinated with the game, and I was so addicted to it. And there was the football world, like in FIFA, everyone can have a Ronaldo, everyone can have an Mbappe. In this, is like there was one Rooney, there was one Van Persie. So it's like you had to work hard to get them, or you had to invest in your like youth system. And then after 3 months, it just shut down. They just obviously didn't capture enough people. It was like way ahead of its time, and it just disappeared. And I'm like, the progression stuff they had with like the stadium and the training development and the management development and stuff like that. That if that was in MFL, I think like people would get addicted to it like Football Manager. And I think it has. I think it could take a big market share from Football Manager, like a game like MFL can. I said this to Matt as well in our call. I'm like, there's not a lot of projects that I see that get me like really excited to the point where I'm like, oh my god, like not even as a creator, like as a consumer, like I'm about this. But MFL is there. Like it's definitely the best football game that I've played. That's not like a real life. SoRare is a bit more real life fantasy. I've played. I went through the list earlier on of all the ones I've been on, and there's a few others that I've played that are like not NFTs or like Web3, but just like regular online Football Manager games. None of them have what MFL has.
Yeah. Agreed. Not biased, but we agree.
We
agree.
Preaching to the choir.
Yeah, I bet, yeah.
That's going to be a good hashtag, Jimbo, by the way. Preaching to the choir.
Preaching to the choir.
That's the part of, we always do a hashtag. I don't know, Nep, if you know, like to see if people listened.
Oh, okay, yeah.
To prove people listening in the chat on like
the
socials and Discord. They know they've got this far, basically. Proves that you're a real listener. And then when we sometimes do our quizzes Calvo does this great quizzes for the pack drops. Occasionally you might chuck in there, what was the last hashtag in the video?
Yeah, exactly.
Or the podcast. I don't know. Listen, it's only one question out of 25 or so. But I think before we wrap things up, you had a question earlier about why are we named the WenDirkCast? So I think, it's only right we answer that. So we'll cast our minds back to the Guitar World Cup of 2022, December 2022, right? MFL did a World Cup on Flow event, which Flow being the blockchain that MFL is built on. Loads of different projects, had like this bit, had its own website, and for that event, they had these World Cup on Flow packs of MFL players who were in the sort of colours of different nations participating within the World Cup. So Brazil, Holland, England, those sort of ones. So you might even see a couple of them round in the marketplace. There's not, I don't know how many there are, maybe 1,000 or so. And
pay attention to the fact that they have shirts on. That's pretty
the shirts they've got on. Yeah. And there was this one particular player from Holland called Dirk Klaassen, who at the time was 92 rated, Calvo, or I'm going to get slaughtered if we get this wrong.
Yeah, 92.
92 rated. And because because they have all the information about who owns what player, when there were these packs that you could win or were being given away throughout the tournament, you could see who was left to be packed. So you knew if, this Dirk Klaassen hadn't been opened by anyone yet, and one of these packs would appear, everyone was really trying to get it because, there's a decent chance he could be in there. So this big meme came about saying, like, WenDirk, as in, like, when is Dirk going to be opened? When is he going to be packed by someone in the community? And that was a massive meme for months, well, for the whole duration of the World Cup, really. And I think it's got its own like emoji. Yeah, it has got its own. I definitely know it's got its own emoji within the Discord that you can use. And then when Calva came to me 76 weeks ago and said, "Do you fancy doing a podcast?" We were brainstorming on names. We thought, well, what's something that's sort of like inside with the community that people will know about, but then when other people from outside don't know, they ask a question that has a story to it, which is great to tell. We thought we'll call it the WenDirkCast. So that's where the name comes from. Now you know.
Okay, so I hadn't put two and two together that the Wen is like the Wen Moon meme thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
like,
it's basically that. Yeah,
I thought like because I'm going to go out on a limb and presume, Calvin, that you're Scandinavian. I assumed it was like
Dutch.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
Almost.
It also, like, I thought the WenDirk was like maybe like your surname, or like, you know, like Calva WenDirk or something. No, but how come so he didn't get packed then? Because he's not on the.
No, he did get packed. Yeah, he did get packed.
What happened to him? I was in like beta or something.
No, he got packed. He's currently owned by.
We can share the link with you of him.
Yeah, we can share where he went.
It doesn't show up.
It
Dirk.
might.
There's no Dirk?
If you just put Dirk in, it probably comes up.
Yeah, there's like the top Dirk. He's the best Dirk.
Yeah, he's the best Dirk. His surname's like CLAESSEN.
Gotcha. What a guy.
He had before
show.
progression was a thing. Progression was implemented. He had the highest physical within the game. I'm not sure if that still stands today. But we used to do, when we did our little segments, we'd do like a how Dirk, a when Dirk, a why Dirk, to sort of like play on that theme. And we used to do a how Dirk, where every like week would see how he was playing. And for the alpha seasons, he would only average like a 7 rating through most of his career, which is pretty poxy. But now that he's playing in the Diamond League now, isn't he? He's tearing it up. Usually the end of every season.
Career, to be fair, isn't it?
Yeah, usually the end of every. I think last season he got the most assists or most goals he's ever had, and we like to just give a little bit of a recap. But we
says he has. Oh, it must have been assists because he's got no trophies.
Yeah, he's we pay honour to the man who, without him, this podcast would never be a thing. So
yes, that's good to follow. If he will retire, he will retire. So when he will retire, then we might need to do a goodbye stream.
This is the thing, though, that fascinates me about like the 6-week seasons. What the average age of retirement would be like? What, 34? That's going to be like 60 weeks.
36,
yeah. So that's going to be like 60 to 70 weeks before he's going to retire at least. And if he goes on till he's like 39 or 40. Like that's over a year.
It's a long while, especially that's why the younger ages, especially like 16-year-olds, 16, 20 seasons, 20 times 120. It's just shy of 2 years.
And that's why, like, when I was building my team, especially like the Crappers team that I've got, full of these like $1 players.
Is that what you're going to call them now? The nickname, like the stadium school.
So I've actually got a series on Ultimate Team called the Crappers, and I took the lowest rated players in the game, and I've been evolving them up. And so now like they're like some of the best players in the game, like for some of them. So yeah, they're probably going to be like dubbed the Crappers as well.
The Crappers.
It's like I look at some of these players, I'm like, oh man, like. I'm never gonna do anything with you. Like, you're just gonna be useless. Like the only hope is progression and then selling you on. But actually, when you think about, even if I just finished bottom of the league for 10 seasons in a row, I'd get enough MFL to get an uncommon pack. So it's like, that cost price then is $25 for an uncommon pack if they come in as like 26-year-olds. So if you can get like $1 like 18, 19, 20-year-olds, you could easily get 2 uncommon packs for like over the course of their season, or their career, as like a bare minimum. Like, that's all right.
Yeah, I think there's definitely, we saw a couple of weeks ago the market for younger age players was just nuts. It still is nuts, right? But people see, they have a 26-year-old and go, oh, he's basically retiring tomorrow, so I've got to get rid of him for whatever price is possible. But actually, odds are in your favour. You've got at least 10 seasons, 8 seasons maybe, unless you're really unlucky and you hit like a 32, 33. But then you play that risk with them, right? So we want to see what happens as more players get older. How does that influence the price of some of these older 26-year-olds or 28-year-olds?
Yeah, the market really has to find its feet for like older players, younger players. That's premium on younger, or the discount on the older. How much going to be, and also utility. When they retire, some people will keep collecting. Like Dirk, we want to buy Dirk, right? Of course, when he's
love to have one of our
almost
accounts,
retiring, I want to have that guy. And maybe they will become staff, like in FM, right? That players also transition into staff roles. So maybe they will still have utility, maybe forever. Or like in a Legends team, that you have another competition where you have your agency legends, your favorites who still. So we also don't know yet where that's going to go.
You Red Crosses on So Rare sort of thing. Where they move to Saudi and they're like, but in MFL they can't come back. You can't just re-alive them.
You've got me very interested now. Like I think it's maybe a little edge for how to get some like good players. Like knowing now, like that one guy that I've got that's already gone up by 5 stats and a +1. I'd never ever considered how many seasons has he been minted for, like, and how that's relevant. But especially, like, I paid $1 for him. How old is he? He's 25, 26. So maybe I get like 7 or 8 seasons. But if he's got high progression, like if I end up finishing even like halfway up the table instead of bottom, I pick up like a good 3,000 or 4,000 MFL off the back of these players. So I'm now going to have to go look through my team and start like putting notes on, because I've got a spreadsheet already for them, but putting notes on
Nice.
like how many seasons they've been minted for. And if I've got like a 25-year-old that's already been around for 3 seasons, he can get to fuck, right? He's out of the team straight away. I need guys that have been minted this season in my team to see if they've got the true progression.
Yes. No, there's many factors,
Yeah.
And then you know for sure, if it's a straight, like a fresh mint, you know for sure, that +1, that already is a nice bonus sometimes. But we have to still wait and see and how everything develops, etc.
Right, folks, we've got to that point in the episode where to prove you've been listening, we're going to give you a hashtag. And in reference to talking about the ages of our community and the maturity of them, for the most part, we're going to give this week's hashtag mature content. So post on Discord, post it on Twitter, at us, do whatever you want to do. You guys are great with it anyway. Hashtag mature content. Before we do wrap things off and blow that full-time whistle, I want to say massive thanks to Nep for being on this podcast. It's great to have you on. Lovely insights from your deep dive, your manager's spotlight. Hope you've enjoyed yourself, had a good time.
Yeah, it's been great, and feel free to reach out again, because I've got lots more questions, and I'm sure we could talk long into the night about all things MFL.
Definitely.
So yeah,
Definitely.
Love that. The invite's always there. Open invites, that's the best way. Leave the doors open. So we'll definitely have you back on in the future. Maybe we do our anniversary episode. We did episode 50 with the big group. Maybe episode 100. Get big panels on. More people, the better, right? More voices, the more rambling. Hashtag ramble. Nep, a massive thank you for coming on. Don't think there'll be a stream this week. There's no pack drops in a couple of weeks' time. But hopefully everyone's doing well in Season 3. Cups start as you're listening to this. Hopefully you've done all right.
definitely got to do a stream. You got to find.
All right then.
No, you've got to do a stream on the biggest growth players at the lowest rating. Find those beasts.
We've got to
Find
find
them.
those big,
Yeah.
find those hashtag beasts, find those FIFA beasts.
And then see if they
Silver
get bought
Squad.
straight away.
Yeah, put them on a little short list and just document there. Even just through the season, just see who goes up through the season.
It's definitely not any of my players, so I won't be having any of my players on there. So everyone else's. But no, great idea, love it. So right, without further ado, thank you all so very much for listening, and we'll catch you this time next week for an episode of the WenDirkCast. Thank you for listening.